Hi guys, it's the Forgetful Scholar. Let's chat about books. So this week is Cursed Sword, The Waste, and Tree of Light. I knew I remembered it. See, I try to remember instead of just going to my notes, and I knew I remembered it. So yay for me. This is actually a big deal for me. Okay, so the first one is going to be Cursed Sword, and this is a older book and a revisit. I remember I read it once in high school and never looked at it again. And I remember I didn't like it, so I decided to give it another try. So this is Johanna Lindsey's Until Forever, and this is the Cursed Sword. And look at that step back. It's beautiful, it's a lot of fun, but like I spent too much time staring at it, and not for the reasons you think, just because this white here behind this, like I didn't get what that was supposed to symbolize. But anyway, this is MM Contemporary Historical Paranormal Sci-Fi. Okay, so this when was it published? This one, Johanna Lindsey just let it all hang out. They were trying the most, and they were trying everything. So it's 1995 is when this first came out. I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I did when I was in high school. But I didn't love it. It's sort of like meh with a question mark. Now, why there's so many, like, I'm not sure what category it is other than romance, is because, so this is, it follows Rosaline, who is a professor in contemporary times, and she finds a cursed sword that has a Viking trapped in it named Thorn that time travels. So you see how, like, I'm not sure. So it starts in modern times, and then they go back to Thorn's time, which is like Viking and everything. But there's time travel, so it's contemporary because they start off with Jocelyn. You know, she's in contemporary times, and then historical because the cursed sword takes her back to Viking era, so like 900. I think I don't remember the actual year date, but Vikings. So that's historical, but it's time travel, so sci-fi, but it's time travel because of which cursed thorn in the sword, so paranormal. Yeah, I was kind of confused too. So other than that, it's pretty typical Johanna Lindsey, medieval Viking romance. I did think the end was kind a little corny, but thinking back on it, because I read this like 3 or 4 days ago, and thinking back on it, I don't know how the author would have actually settled this in any other way. And have it still have a happy ending, because it's a Johanna Lindsey book, so there is definitely a happy ever after, which is wonderful. So that's nice. To be honest, without all the cursed time traveling sword, it's kind of just a basic Johanna Lindsey romance novel, And I do give them props for like trying something new, because this is really new. Even though, I mean, not new in the sense that it came out recently, but new in the sense that they were trying something different in their writing. And you could tell, how you could kind of tell when the author themselves are into it. They were definitely into it. So that's always fun to read. You know what I mean? But I will say, without the cursed time travel sword that made Thorn like a genie or Jinn, depending on where you're from, is pretty generic. And the thing that kept me really engaged and curious about the whole thing was the time traveling cursed sword. But also that kept me thinking, like, what is happening right now for the whole time too. So this is definitely middle of the road, meh, question mark, 2 stars. It was, give props when props due. They tried something different, they tried something unique, and they seemed to have a blast doing it. And that is one hell of a step back. So, there you go. And now I'm gonna go to the waist. So this is Soul Eater, Monstrous Book 1, Lily Mayne. First of all, I think this cover's pretty cool. It very much makes me think of like a graphic novel and things like that, which as a geek I love. So that was fun. So this one is a 4-star, because it definitely is a beginning of like a series that I'm fascinated with. This has to do with Danny, who's a human, and Wynn, who is the Soul Eater. So he's a monster that the human military is trying to figure out what his killing pattern is, because they don't understand it. You know, he'll go into a house and just kill one person and then peace out and leave everybody as they are. And this takes place like an apocalypse. After the end of the world, because apparently that is a word that I have trouble saying, and I'm going to just fast forward through that. Okay, so, and the world itself is fascinating. So Danny is part of the military, and basically you have a choice, military or take your chances in the waste. And Danny joined the military, even though he's pretty much a pacifist, and he's a sweet little bean. I really like Danny's character. And they kidnap Wynn, the military, who in this book, all pieces of shit, and are trying to get information out of him, but Wynn will only talk to Danny. So Danny's thrown in to interrogate this terrifying badass monster that could kill like hundreds of people without breaking a sweat. I'm trying to decide what to say, because like it's so fascinating and I don't want to give too much away. But I'm gonna leave it there, because I again don't want to give it away. I had a blast reading it, and fantasy is kind of a hit or miss with me, but I really like this. And the world building was fantastic. It was very organic. It was fascinating. Made me want to read more, want to find out what happened. Kept me engaged. I liked Wynn's character. It like made sense how he was sweet in his own way, but he wasn't a typical person, because he is a monster. So, you know, some things for humans confuse him. So some things for Danny, what Danny does confuses him and things like that. You find out how Wind, sorry, I cannot talk today, how Wind picks his victims and why. And I thought that was a really good reason to keep you kind of like, okay, cool. So I can like Wind. He's not like a mass murderer or whatever. I can like him. Okay, cool. I can like them together. Cool. Kind of justification. Oh, it is hot. I am regretting having my hair down today. All right. And Danny's sweet. He's a very like shy, introverted person. And with this kind of personality, when they lose their temper, a lot of authors, for me, they don't do a good job of building up to that moment where the character snaps. So sometimes they're very like passive, and also like, whoa, where'd that come from? But I think this book did a fantastic job of like building up his stress and his anxiety and his anger and all that stuff. So when he does lose his temper, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm there with you. And it didn't feel over the top. It didn't feel unwarranted. It was, the author did a fantastic job. I'm really interested. I kind of can't wait to read book 2. It seems like every book is a different monster, so that's going to be fun. It's just, it was a blast. I enjoyed it. 4 stars. I'm interested in more of this world, and the world building, like, fascinating. And it's done in such a, like, seamlessly done, because a lot of times in fantasy or sci-fi books, or even paranormal books, it does feel like there's just a lore dump when they're explaining the world, and it could kind of just get like really too much, and you're just like rolling your eyes, or you're like, oh my gosh, when is this done? Okay, whatever. But this was like nicely paced, so I was interested in finding out more about the world. I didn't feel overwhelmed by a lore dump. I wanted to know what happened. I want to know more about it. I want to know more about the waste. I want to know more about the cities, because people are kind of crowded in the cities and they think the waste is the worst, but it turns out it's not. So it's, and monsters are roaming around, and like I think this book did a good job as to explain why the monsters were roaming around, and the military is really like a dick because they're the bad guys. The only thing I wish that they did was there's two commanding officers of Danny's. Let's see if I wrote their names down. I didn't. I think one of them is Mallory and the other one's like Hamilton or Hamish. Hamish. One of them dies, and I really wanted to see them get eviscerated because they are horrible, and my bloodthirsty nature got activated, and I wanted to know the viscera at all. One of them gets away, and I don't know if they're going to be a recurring sort of bad guy in the other books, but like I really want to see him get horribly murdered. The other commanding officer that got away. So like, I wish we saw the one that got torn to pieces in this book. I wish we saw it, like when takes care of him. I wanted to see it or read it, the details of it, because I was like, die, you son of a bitch. But one of them got away, and that one, I hope we get the, like point by point how he gets just murderlated, because they deserve it. So that's the only critique of that, but I really enjoyed myself. 4 stars. Okay, so this one is the Tree of Light one, and this one is just Calamarried, A Sucker for Love Mystery. Which book is it? Book 5 by K.L. Heirs, because these books don't really have them numbered themselves, so I kind of had to go into Amazon and figure out which one's 4, which one's 5, what number am I on, So we've been reading this universe series for a bit, and it's Sloane and Locke, and they're the main characters of this one, like they were in the first one and the third one, and it follows their journey. They just got married, and Sloane is pregnant with a half Eldritch god, half human baby, and there's a mystery of a missing brother that they have to find. And it turns out that some of the endless species, which are like, for average mythos, I'll say like fish-like people, unicorn-like people, things like that, trolls, fairies, things like that. Apparently, they didn't just die off on Earth. They learned how to hide themselves with glamours and stuff like that. And they call themselves the Hidden People. And there's a whole like underground, it's not really underground, but some like where they have clubs they hang out in, bars they go to that's just for them, that like people, both Eldritch God worshipping and Lord of the Light worshipping people have no idea about. So Sloane is private investigator, and he gets hired to find the brother who is missing, and he is a part troll, part fairy, part human. And Sloane is so like awesome. He's like, oh, I'm so happy that there's endless species that survived on Earth. I hated thinking that we killed them all off, so that's awesome. Like, he's just so accepting. He's like, do. Also, how can you not be accepting? He's married to Azeroth the Lesser, the Eldritch God of thievery and retribution, and he's about to have his baby. So I guess, as it goes, Sloane would be pretty open-minded and welcoming of different people, So it follows that. I did really like this one. It wasn't like an end of the world case, because lately in the past 4 books everything's sort of like end of the world, we have to stop it, So I like this one was more of like an actual missing persons case, and that turns into a double homicide case. So I really kind of enjoyed that little bit of a break. I will say that they didn't really continue the mythos of the Kindress and, the absolute apocalypse and everything like that in this book. And I kind of liked a little bit of a break. It felt like if this was a TV show, this was just sort of an episode in between like a long arc of end of the world thing, but this was like a fun episode, to give you a little bit of a break from it. And I enjoyed that. I really like that. This is 4 stars again because it's in a series. So if it was by itself, 5 stars. Again, not into tentacle sex, so I did skim that until that was done and continued onward because I like I like the characters, I like the world, I like the whole overarching end of the world, we have to stop it kind of stuff that's going on. I will say that I do appreciate that it seems like this author did take a time before they started writing the books to map out everyone and how they're all, like, if they're connected to this person and how and blah blah blah, because Fred, their friend who's a ghoul, his boyfriend Al turns out to be Ted, who's from the second book's brother. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even realize that. So that's kind of nice how they're kind of connecting it all. Like, this group of people are kind of standing between the end of the world kind of a thing. Like, they're in this together. And there was a heavy theme of found family in this. And Azeroth the Lesser, again, hilarious personality. Like, this writer just, it hits my sense of humor to a T. I was cracking up every time. How do you make Eldritch Gods absolutely adorable and funny? But there you go, their personalities are lovely. We do get a little bit of Chase and Merrick from the book before this and see how they're progressing, so they're good. Things like that. So I really enjoyed it, and their baby comes in this book. It's cute. It's cute. It's very cute. There's a happy ending. It's very cute. This is MM paranormal HP Lovecraft lore romance contemporary. I did enjoy this. I really liked it. So this was that. This was the week. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.